Hey guys, Charlie here, and I wanted to start another, it's like maybe a mini series, or maybe it's just a one-off video. I have no idea, but there's been some questions that have been asked related to Kerbal Space Program in terms of mods and how to get the mods, how to install them, what mod does this, what mod does that. And I think there's enough questions, and I think there's enough interest in it to where it maybe warrants some additional videos. So in this video, what we're going to talk about today is how to get mods, how to install them, where they go, because that question is probably the most common one. And then, hopefully that helps people. Hopefully that if anyone asks that question in the future, if anyone, has that on their mind, maybe they're new to Kerbal Space Program, they've never modded before, maybe they're veterans to the game, but they've always played stock, then we can direct them. You can help me out, direct them to this video and let them know how it's done. Also, if you're watching it today, the day of recording, which is Monday, August 29th, I guess. Local time for me is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This video will probably go live around 5 or so. If you're watching this, then tomorrow, the 30th, come back to the channel, 11 o'clock Eastern time. That is the next episode of Kerbal Space Program. You can see the next episode from there. Okay, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Let's get into the tutorial. Hopefully this video is not too long, and hopefully it helps some people out. So let's get started. Okay guys, so we're looking here at my my second monitor, and if I ever click anything like a new folder window or anything like that, and I have to drag it onto the screen, it's because all my windows by default open on my primary window or on my primary monitor, and this is my screencasting monitor is my second monitor, so I don't have the desktop icons all over the place. Okay, so Kerbal Space Program, right? Conquering Kerbal Space Program is a series on YouTube on this channel that I've been doing since May 1st, and I probably will be continuing to do until next May. I'm hoping it doesn't take that long, but we'll see. If you're not familiar with this, then the link in the description of this video, as well as the annotation in the top left-hand corner, will direct you to the series. Maybe you're interested in it. Maybe you came to this channel first with this video and have no idea what I'm talking about. That will help you figure that out. If you're looking at this page, which is at hottubcentral.com/KSP-mods, this is the mod list for that playlist, and the playlist is embedded right here on the page. So in this video, we're going to be talking about mods, right? So how to install them, and there's two different ways primarily that I use to install mods, and I wanted to go over those things because some people have been commenting, they've been asking questions, and it might be intimidating for new people who have never modded before. So let's get that intimidation out of here and look at how easy this is. Let's pick a mod. Let's pick something that's, how about Ferrum Aerospace Research, okay? Ferrum Aerospace Research, I'm actually thinking about getting rid of the version numbers on this mod list. I think I'm going to probably do that because I don't think it really matters. Anyway, so Ferrum Aerospace Research is here. Go ahead and copy that to the clipboard with Control-C on the keyboard or Command-C if you're on a Mac. And before we go any further, I did want to also say a huge thank you to you guys. If you look at the channel, we have reached the 7,000 subscriber mark, and it's so humbling. It's so, like, the fact that there are this many people that are interested in things that I'm creating is it's so wonderful. So thank you so much for that, for following. I hope that I can just keep making a whole bunch of content that you guys will enjoy. The reason why it's 7K is because of you guys. It's because of your likes. It's because of your comments. It's because of, for the people who share videos, it's because of that. And I can continue to do this type of thing because of all of that support. So thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so with that big thank you out of the way, I appreciate it. I mean, this is a small subscriber number for, like a lot of channels. There's a lot of channels that have a lot more subscribers than this, obviously. But for me, 7K is that's awesome for me. I just love that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a new tab. I'm going to type Ferrum Aerospace Research into a regular Google search, and we get the top post, which is for the KSP forums, the Kerbal Space Program forums. That's what this is. This is the Kerbal Space Program forums. If you are going to be getting into modding, I highly recommend you create an account here and get in touch with how the community works, get in touch with the rules and things like that, because this community is awesome and it's going to be really helpful for you if you run into problems. If you're modding Kerbal Space Program and you have problems, be sure to go to technical support at the PC Modded Installs technical support forum. If you're not modding KSP, that's totally fine. Maybe you have a bug or you're experiencing problems without modding KSP. You can go to the Unmodded Installs mod. So mod authors, those who create mods, those who are coding mods, mods standing for basically modifications to the game. They will be releasing them in the add-on releases area. So if I click that, you'll see that there's a huge assortment of posts once it loads. You see there's a huge assortment of posts, and they all follow a fairly consistent, it's sort of a not really cookie cutter. I'm looking for a word here. I'm just going to say consistent format. Usually all of them will follow that. So let's go to Ferrum Aerospace Research, the one we just searched for. And this is the forum post for Ferrum Aerospace Research. I'm actually going to just go ahead and close this because I don't need it. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I almost revealed my second bit, and that's okay. You'll see that eventually anyway. So Ferrum Aerospace Research, let's take a look at some of the conventions that you'll be familiar with, or some of the rules, some of the standards that you'll be associated when you go to look for a mod. The title of the mod at the forums is usually going to contain the version of the game that it's compatible with, 1.1.3. That is not always the case. Sometimes they don't upgrade their titles, but it will still work. For example, a mod that was built to work with 1.1.2 may still function and be perfectly fine in 1.1.3, and they just haven't bothered to update their title. Sometimes that happens. Then you have the name of the mod, as well as the version of the mod itself. So there's different from the game's version of the mod itself. And then there's usually some flavor text or some additional descriptions. Typically, you'll find the date at which this particular release was launched. In the case of Ferrum 4, in the case of the user Ferrum 4, Ferrum Aerospace Research also names each release, so they have a name for that release here. Okay, so here's the forum post. It will always have a picture, at least one photo, and this time there's a bunch of videos that go along with describing how things work as well. We've got lots of text. I highly recommend you read that text so you understand what you're getting yourself into, understand how the different mods will change the game, etc. And also, this one has a changelog as well as a FAQ, or a frequently asked questions. And so, yeah, very descriptive right in the first post, and this first post gets updated whenever the mod itself is updated. Now, how do you obtain the mod, right? How do you get a hold of it? That's the whole point of the video, right? How do we get a hold of it? There's two ways. The first way is to go where the mod developer is hosting that file and download it. That can be GitHub, which is usually pretty common that it's GitHub. It can also be SpaceDock. These are the two most common places that people go. It used to be Kerbal stuff, but that site's kind of down now. And there's also CurseForge as well, which is still around, and some people go to that too. But from what I'm seeing, most reliably, you're going to find the latest versions of stuff on their GitHub and SpaceDock. Now, what is GitHub? I'm going to click GitHub. What is GitHub? GitHub is a site, if you're not familiar with it, is a site where developers can come in and collaborate. But it's primarily also a place where developers they don't have to collaborate with other people. They can just host their programs. They can host their software. It aids in the Creative Commons, if you will, the open source, if you will, nature of development when it comes to modding and a modding community. And it's also places where people can, keep track of a whole bunch of stuff and stay organized with things. There's descriptions and changelogs, sure, but you can also go to the releases tab, and now not only is there the latest release, but you can find downloads for the other releases that were in the past as well. So if you have a problem with the latest release and you need to go back, there it is. You can go back and get it if you want. It's also another place for, like, say, pull requests, which is basically another way of saying, I believe anyway, I'm not a developer myself, so I might butcher this, but I believe a pull request is just simply when other developers or other mods, or other mod makers, if you will, submit changes to someone else's mod. They submit changes to someone else's software. Maybe it's a patch that makes two mods communicate better together, or maybe it adds some new functionality that's missing, and they, rather than waiting for the mod developer to do it, someone has taken the time to do it themselves and has said, here, I made this for you. You can incorporate this if you want into your mod. That's what will make it better. We would like you to do that. So that's another way for that to do it. So GitHub is basically a place for people to collaborate and do some really cool things. You can see the latest version is here. To download it then, I would just click the zip file right here. So I'll just go ahead and click that. Now, another place to get it is SpaceDock. That's a pretty common place to get it as well. This mod, for example, has a link directly to SpaceDock as well, so we can go ahead and click that. SpaceDock.info is the name of the mod site, and you can also browse for other mods at SpaceDock.info as well. You can see the videos that are posted here. There's a short description, as well as a changelog link here, which has the different versions that are for this mod as well. You can click the big download button here or the download button here. And this is pretty consistent with every mod. There's some variations, a little bit of changes here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent. That's how you find them. That's how you read about them. And also in that same thread is where you can comment about them and get support for them and you know, talk directly to the developer sometimes. You know, it's there. You can get help with things if you need help with things. Just make sure you read the rules. People don't necessarily like people, you know, before you have a question, please read other questions to make sure that your question hasn't already been asked and answered. It really helps people out, and it's just generally a good thing to do. It's a good Samaritan thing to do on the internet. All right, so that's one way to do it. The second way is with something called CKAN. Now CKAN, you can see it typed right here actually. There's a notice on this particular mod. CKAN, C-K-A-N, you can Google that and download that, is kind of a mod in and of itself. I wouldn't say that it's a mod. It's definitely not a mod, but it's a program that helps you manage mods. We'll call it a mod manager then. So I'm going to go ahead and just slip this window to the side here, and that's what I accidentally revealed underneath. This is CKAN. When you download this, you can attach it to your Kerbal Space Program installation, which we'll get to in a moment, you can see a list of all the mods that are available and compatible, filter up here, compatible with your version of Kerbal Space Program. You can also filter it in a lot of different ways too. You can filter by what's installed. Mine says there's 134 mods installed. That's not entirely accurate. The only reason I say it's not accurate is because CKAN is counting the configuration files for the mods as well as the mods themselves, and that would count them as 2 mods. For example, let's say, wow, I have a bunch of updates. Cool. Let's see. For example, let's say, I'm trying to find, let's go in order of name. I'm not sure why it wasn't in the name order already. How about Interstellar Fuel Switch? Okay, here's one. So Interstellar Fuel Switch is a mod, but also it has a core plugin for that mod. And you have to have both of them. They both work together. And so CKAN is counting this as 2. I count this as 1. Filter extensions, same thing. There's the plugin itself, but there's also a default configuration file for that plugin, as well as a rework for stock categories for that. CKAN's counting this as 3 mods. I'm counting it as 1. So that's why I don't say this is necessarily accurate. Another reason why this isn't accurate to me is because I don't use CKAN for every mod, and I'll get into why that is in a second. But for now, let's look at CKAN and how that functionality works. You can see the window is here. It has all the different mods, and when you want to install one, you just simply click the checkbox and you apply the changes and update it. So let me go to the compatible. We'll filter it by what's compatible. And let's say I wanted to install Elephant Engine. It's just a silly mod, but let's say I wanted to install Elephant Engine. All I'd have to do is click this little checkbox. The Apply Changes button becomes available. I'd click that. It shows me everything that's about to be installed, and then I would just click Apply down here, and it would install that mod into Kerbal Space Program. Pretty simple stuff. If you want to know more information about a particular mod in this list, you can see the information over here on the right side, as well as there's links and stuff down here, and you can go directly to the forum post in a lot of situations. The homepage is the forum post on Kerbal Space Program. So there you go. Now, updates. CKAN is really great because of updates, I think. Personally, that's why I use CKAN for the little mods, and the majority of my mods are being used with CKAN because of update functionality. I can see when an update is available at a glance very, very quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that CKAN will show you updates right when they're available, but it does mean, you know, after like a delay. Sometimes it takes as much as a day or 2, but it will show you when their updates are available. And how that works is you just click Add Updates and Apply Changes, and then you'll be able to install the ones that have the updates. I don't do that right away. I would like to go to Filter and go to Upgradable, and I can see that there are 3. And then I can see the different information about that. So for instance, trajectories. 1.6.2 is what's installed right now. 1.6.3 is the latest version. So I can upgrade to that latest version if I want to. Well, why would I want to do that, right? What's the information that helps me do that? Or like where's the information where I can find what's changed? What's the motivation for doing that, right? Well, that's where I would go to the information down here. So let's go to the source code. This is the GitHub right here. Click the GitHub link. Gets taken to the GitHub directory, which is just like what we saw for Ferrum Aerospace Research, but this is for trajectories now. And let's go to the releases, and I can see the latest version, 1.6.3, is right here. And here's a bullet points of everything that's been fixed, or everything that's been changed. Now I can look at this and say, do I care about these changes? If I don't care about these changes, I don't update. because updating mods is sometimes when you can get problems. But if, for instance, I had this bug, for example, where the wings that were incorrectly predicted with stock aerodynamics model. Okay, so let's say that this bug, I was experiencing this bug, and I was getting kind of annoyed by this bug. Well, updating the mod would fix the bug. So that's one way to do it as well. Another reason to update a mod, for me anyway, is new features, new functionality. Maybe they brought something new to the game. For Outer Planets mod, for example, Outer Planets, maybe they brought another planet, or they fixed one of the moons that were glitching out or something, or they've added they've added something to the game that I would like to have in mind. Then I would upgrade that mod. So that's one way to do it. Now, be careful with upgrading mods, though. Okay. We're going to be careful with this. Now, that's how you use CCAN. It's extremely easy, but where is CCAN putting the mods? Where am I supposed to put the mods when I download them from SpaceDock or whatever, right? That's the last component to this. We're going to put them in our game directory. I'm going to go ahead and close CCAN, and I'm going to go ahead and close this as well. Okay, so let's open up a window here, and I'm going to go to my second SSD. My Steam library. The Steam library is where your game is located by default, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is where it is on your computer. It's probably in a different location on your computer, but on my computer, this is where my Steam library is located. Your folder structure will look very similar to this. Steam Apps, Common, and then the game that you'd like to access, in this case, Kerbal Space Program. So here is Kerbal Space Program. This is the mod. This is not the mod. This is the game, okay? The game is here. 64-bit and regular 32-bit versions of the application you can launch, as well as your save files or your save folder where your saves are. Here's PII, Prior Interstellar Incorporated. That's our main save, or that's our main playthrough save. And then we have the game data folder. The game data folder here, this is where your mods go. So if I double click this, we can see that by default, the stock installation, this is my Steam folder directory. I don't play out of my Steam folder, and I'll get to that in just a second. Steam folder directory, this is game data, and this is where your mods go, inside game data. So how does that work, right? So let's open up another window, and I'm gonna see if I even have any mods downloaded. FAR, we just downloaded FAR, so yeah, we do. So here's FAR, Ferrum Aerospace Research, and this is how Ferrum Aerospace Research came packaged. Now you might get confused, where do I put what folder? What folder am I looking at? Well, notice that this is called game data and this is called game data. That should be your clue, okay? If I double click this and double click this, everything that's in here should be in here. Pretty simple. So I'm gonna take Ferrum Aerospace Research and Modular Flight Integrator. Modular Flight Integrator is not something I downloaded, right? I downloaded Ferrum Aerospace Research. However, this mod has what's called a dependency. In other words, it's a mod that relies on the functionality found in another mod in order to function. When that happens, they'll usually package their dependencies with the mod. So in this case, I have to install Modular Flight Integrator if I want to have Ferrum Aerospace Research. Ferrum Aerospace Research is packaged with Modular Flight Integrator, so I don't have to go looking for it. I just have it with me because it's packaged with it. So here we go. Now, it's important to note that that's not always the case. They're not always going to package their dependencies with them. For example, stock visual enhancements. That's a visual enhancement mod. It works really well. It makes all these nice clouds or whatever like that. They package theirs with Eve, which is environmental visual enhancements. They package theirs with that, and that's great. But there's other mods, like the Outer Planets mod, for example, which adds new planets to the solar system. That's what we're using in our playthrough. It does not come packaged with Copernicus. Copernicus is the primary mod that it relies the functionality on. Or I should probably word that in English, since that's terrible English. It relies on the functionality of Copernicus in order to function. You have to go and get Copernicus too. So not always will they be packaged together, but if you need another mod in order for this one to work, it will be right in the description of that mod. It will be right on that forum post. So you should be able to read it, and you should be able to go and get it. Usually they'll link directly to it as well. And that's it. I drag these files on the right into this folder here, and this is installed now. Ferrum Aerospace Research will be installed in this installation. That's all there is to it. CCAN is doing the same thing for you. CCAN is installing the files in your game data folder. It's just doing it for you so you don't have to find it and do it. So let's go back to this drive. I'm going to go where my installation is. I play outside the Steam library. All right, I play outside of my Steam folder. And the reason for that, is episode 10 of the series, of the playlist. Watch episode 10, experience the problems that I had in episode 10, and hear that description as to why. Well, you know what? Just watch episode 10 of Conquering Kerbal Space Program, and that will explain all the problems I had and how those problems are no longer a threat if I play outside of the Steam folder. Okay, so here's mine. I have 3 folders. I have my Kerbal Space Program main folder. This is the one I play out of. I have the copy. This is the one where I back up my save, if you will, so that if something goes wrong, like my save file gets corrupted or a mod that I've updated breaks functionality or something, I can resort back to another folder so I don't lose my save. I don't have to start all over. That would kill the series, obviously. So I have sort of an insurance policy by having everything backed up in one folder. And I never directly edit my backup folder ever. I never touch it. I will make changes to the game folder, and once I can verify that the game folder is working and there's no mod conflicts and everything's fine, I'll make a copy. And then I'll make a copy of a copy, if you will. So that's what the other copy is, right? So my oldest copy, that's copy 2, this is the one I would use to test mods. I would test whether or not this mod works with this one. Is there a conflict here? If I remove this mod, if I remove these parts, does it break my save? I can test all that stuff in another folder, so it's completely separate from my regular game folder. And I can't do that if I'm playing out a Steam folder. I just can't do that, right? You're playing in the Steam folder, that's what it is. And when Steam goes to upgrade your game or update your game automatically like it likes to do, you're just kind of stuck with the updated game, whether the mods work for it or not. So that's another reason why I stay outside the Steam folder. So here's my game folder. If I go to game data, you can see my game data folder is packed with a whole bunch of stuff. And that's because we have over 130 mods installed for our Conquering Kerbal Space Program our playthrough. And so there you go. Yeah, this is an introduction to mods. This is an introduction to installing them and to managing them, and sort of a couple of key tips, if you will, pro tips, if you will, on how to make sure you don't necessarily screw things up too bad. Playing outside the Steam folder, for example, was one of those tips, as well as dependencies and paying attention to that, as well as where to get them. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this solves a lot of questions, and you guys can help me out too, because if you see somebody asking, how do I install these mods or whatever, you can direct them to this video, and this will show them everything they need to know about installing mods and keeping them updated and things like that. So I hope this was helpful. Give me a like if you liked the video. If you just found this channel from this video, first off, welcome. It's not really first off, it's at the end of the video, but welcome. Feel free to browse around for other content. Maybe you'll enjoy those as well. And consider subscribing if you do, because I post videos every week. So it's going to be a long time before I stop doing that too, because I'm really having a good time doing it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And again, if you're watching this at the time of recording or at the day of recording, come on back, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, AM, of course, 11 o'clock Eastern Time to the channel. Episode 74 of Kerbal Space Program will be available then. I'm Charlie. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.